Let me paint you a picture that will probably feel uncomfortably familiar. Someone is sitting on their couch at 11 p.m., scrolling through stock tickers on their phone, agonizing over whether to buy this ETF or that dividend stock. Meanwhile, sitting in their email inbox is a credit card statement showing a 23% interest rate chewing through a $4,000 balance like a termite at a buffet. And they wonder why they never seem to get ahead. I've spent an embarrassing amount of time studying wealth, money psychology, and the strange ways human beings manage to sabotage themselves financially. If you're tired of throwing darts at the investment board and hoping something sticks, hit that subscribe button. Smash the like if this video ends up saving you from a mistake that would have cost you a used car. Here's a number that should probably ruin your week. Roughly 1 in 3 adults globally doesn't have what anyone would reasonably call an emergency fund. The median emergency savings figure floating around, somewhere near $500, that's less than a monthly phone bill in some countries, and that number is actually shrinking, not growing. Yet these same people are sliding into my comments asking whether they should buy Bitcoin or Nvidia. It's like asking whether to install a swimming pool when your kitchen is on fire. Here's the truth almost nobody on finance Twitter wants to admit. There is an optimal sequence for putting your money to work, a real one, backed by math, not vibes. And following this sequence can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your net worth over a lifetime. Ignoring it can quietly drain the same amount. Most people ignore it anyway because the correct order is boring. The correct order doesn't go viral. The correct order won't get you invited onto a podcast to talk about your 10-bagger, but it will make you wealthy. Slowly, reliably, almost unfairly. So let's walk through it, step by step, and I promise at least 2 of these steps are going to genuinely surprise you. Think about building a house. You wouldn't argue with your partner about marble countertops while the foundation is actively cracking. You wouldn't pick out wallpaper while rain is pouring through the roof. And yet this is the exact relationship most people have with money. They obsess over which fund to pick while carrying debt that's growing faster than any fund they could ever buy. Every month you delay killing off a 22% interest rate is a month where that debt quietly eats more of your future than any investment could realistically replace. Every month you skip free matching money from your employer is money you literally handed back to them as a tip. Every dollar you park in a taxable account before filling up your tax-sheltered ones is a dollar you voluntarily agreed to share with the tax authority forever. The order matters. The order is the strategy. Step 1. Before you buy a single share of anything, build an emergency fund. I know, not sexy, not the content you clicked on this channel for. Stay with me. An emergency fund isn't really about money. It's about removing panic from your decision-making. Because here's what happens to people without one. Their car dies, and suddenly they're selling investments at the worst possible moment. The fridge gives up, and suddenly they're swiping a credit card at 24% to replace it. A job disappears, and suddenly a 3-month problem becomes a 3-year problem. Emergency funds aren't insurance against bad luck. They're insurance against bad decisions made during bad luck. How much do you need? The classic answer is 3 to 6 months of expenses, which is so vague it's almost unhelpful. So here's how I'd actually do it. Start with the equivalent of $1,000 USD in your local currency. This kills most minor emergencies before they become real problems. Then build to 1 month of basic expenses, then 3. If your income is unstable or your industry is volatile, push towards 6. Here's the part that blew my mind when I first read it. Research from Vanguard found that people with just $2,000 in emergency savings reported financial well-being scores 21% higher than people with nothing. $2,000 isn't life-changing money, but the psychological weight of having it changes you. You make better decisions, you sleep better, you stop checking your bank balance like it's a slot machine. Step 2. Murder your high-interest debt. And when I say high interest, I mean anything above roughly 8% annually. Credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later traps, payday loans if you've unfortunately wandered into that territory. Credit card debt is not a financial inconvenience. It's a financial disease. At a 22% interest rate, carrying debt while investing is mathematically absurd. you are guaranteed to lose 22% while hoping to earn maybe 8%. That is not a strategy. That is a volunteer program for making banks rich. Run the numbers. Carry $5,000 at 22%, paying only minimums, and you'll hand over close to $2,800 in interest within 5 years. Flipping that equation around, every dollar you throw at that debt earns you a guaranteed 22% return. That's a better return than Warren Buffett averages. The method is simple. List every debt with its interest rate. Pay minimums on all of them. Funnel every extra dollar into the one with the highest rate until it's dead, then move to the next. Repeat until silence. Some people prefer the snowball method, killing smallest balances first for the emotional win. That works too. Pick the method you'll actually stick with. Step 3. And this is where it gets counterintuitive. If your employer offers matching retirement contributions, grab the full match before you finish paying off your debt. I know. I just told you to kill debt. Here's the exception. Matching is free money. It is, functionally, an instant 50% or 100% return depending on the match structure. Even a 22% credit card rate can't compete with a 100% guaranteed immediate return. You're not choosing between investing in debt. You're choosing between free money and no free money. A typical setup looks like this. Your employer matches 50 cents for every dollar you contribute, up to 6% of your salary. Earn $50,000, contributing $3,000 unlocks a free $1,500. That is a 50% return on day one, before a single market movement. Contribute exactly enough to get the full match, not more. Redirect everything else back to the debt fight until the debt is buried. Then come back and crank up the contribution. One warning, check the vesting schedule. Some employers require you to stay a few years before the matching money is truly yours. Factor that in, but in most cases, the math still wins. Once the foundation is set, we enter the tax optimization zone. And this is where the quiet millionaires are made. Step 4. Max out your individual retirement account or the equivalent tax-sheltered individual account available in your country. Why does this come before putting more into your employer plan? Control and cost. Employer plans often give you a limited menu of funds, many with management fees that quietly eat 1 to 2% of your returns every year. An individual retirement account lets you pick low-cost index funds charging a fraction of that. Over 30 years, that fee difference is the price of a small apartment. Current contribution caps in the U.S. sit around $7,000 annually, or $8,000 if you're over 50. Whatever the equivalent is wherever you live, fill it up. Step 5. Decide the traditional versus Roth question. Traditional accounts give you a tax break now, taxed later on withdrawal. Roth accounts tax you now, but everything grows and withdraws tax-free forever. The simple rule. If you're in a high tax bracket today and expect to be lower in retirement, go traditional. If you're early career, earning less now than you will later, go Roth. Honestly, nobody can predict tax policy 3 decades out. Splitting contributions between both types gives you tax diversification, which is a fancy way of saying optionality. Future you will thank presents you for not putting all the eggs in one basket. Step 6. If you have access to a health savings account, this is the most underrated wealth vehicle on the planet. Available primarily in the U.S. alongside high-deductible health plans, an HSA offers triple tax benefits. Tax-deductible going in, tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals for medical expenses. No other account does all 3. Current contribution limits sit near $4,300 for individuals and $8,550 for families. The strategy that separates the pros from the amateurs? Pay current medical bills out of pocket if you can, and let the HSA money stay invested. Keep every medical receipt. There's no deadline on reimbursing yourself, meaning you can pull tax-free money out decades later for an expense you already paid. Max this for 30 years at a 7% return, and you're looking at over $400,000 tax-free, earmarked for healthcare. Since the average retired couple spends well over $300,000 on medical costs, this account can erase an entire line item from retirement. Step 7. Return to the employer retirement plan and max it out beyond the match. In the U.S., that ceiling sits around $23,500 annually, higher with catch-up contributions. Between your IRA, HSA, and employer plan, you can legally shelter north of $35,000 per year from taxation. That is serious compounding horsepower. Fun fact, most people never reach this step. The average savings rate globally hovers around 6% of income, which barely covers the employer match. If you're working through this full sequence, you are already in the top 5% of wealth builders. Step 8. Only now do we touch taxable brokerage accounts. This is where most people want to start, and it's where you should finish. Taxable accounts are flexible, no contribution limits, no withdrawal restrictions. You can buy individual stocks, crypto, whatever you want, but every dividend, every sold gain gets taxed. Over 30 years investing $10,000 annually at 7%, a tax-sheltered account might deliver $944,000. The same contributions in a taxable account after tax drag? Closer to $700,000. $250,000 gone just from order of operations. Taxable accounts still matter, though. They bridge the gap if you want to retire before standard retirement age. They fund big goals like property down payments. They even offer a powerful estate planning benefit where inherited investments reset their tax basis, wiping out capital gains entirely for heirs. So there's the sequence almost nobody follows. Emergency fund. Kill high-interest debt. Capture the employer match. Max the individual retirement account. Fill the HSA. Max the employer plan. Then, finally, taxable investing. If this saved you from even one expensive mistake, the least you can do is smash that like button, subscribe for more videos that treat your money like it actually matters, and share this with the one friend in your life who's still buying meme stocks with credit card money. Because real wealth is built by people brave enough to do the boring things first, and today, that person is you.